Hey, now the music is pumping, good atmosphere. Sweary fairy babe must have beat me here. In the booth, which is all soundproof, with dope jams to rock for you. One of the MCs, we got Mike shouted out. We got the Get Fresh crew stars in the house. Start to break. No, because only stars I know is in the sky. Then we continue through the venue. Didn't pretend to be nothing but Kimmy. As a brother extended out his hand to me and asked me, would I rock the microphone? I just gave him a pound and I said shalom. Sharp as a tarp, played by a musician. My body tone is like a throne where Calvin Klein, obsession, cologne, etc., etc. In a cashmere sweater, I'm in a Cherokee. Joe was in the Audi, and Barry B is riding with me. You see, we're the type of brothers that can't be stopped, and no matter what, we're gonna keep rising to the top. Well, my mom said, "Give it all you got, give it all you got." You got to be old to know that. So, welcome everybody to the Tuesday edition of Burn It Down with Kim Brown. We appreciate you guys making the time to burn some shit down. We set oppression ablaze around here. And gang, there's a lot of obsession, projection, denialism, deluluism, as the children like to refer to it, to get into America on this day, on this day, as the country comes out of yet another deadly weekend of gun violence, overwhelmingly contributed at the hands of the demographic. You know what I'm saying? The demographic that is most responsible for violence. And I know some of y'all be like, Kim, we know white people is violent. Why do you keep telling us? I don't think the whole of, let's say, the minority majority, you know what I mean? We know not the members of the global South populations, you understand? I don't think the folk them understand what kind of quagmire and pickle they find themselves in by refusing to take an honest accounting of the values and actions of their own community. It's wild. It's some shit to see. Open Google Docs. And here's the problem, y'all. We have to address it. We have to at least offer some sort of counter spin, counter narrative, because the rhetoric coming from the right is it's dangerous. And I don't mean dangerous in some sort of, boogeyman kind of way. No, as it has always done, it poses a direct threat to us and our entire lives, right? But we need to make we got to get a critical mass of the whites to try, for God's sakes, try to get your niggas. God damn, y'all letting these motherfuckers run amok. And the funny thing is, and it's not funny, it is funny, not funny, definitely not fucking funny. But the policies of the Trump administration are helping to drive white folks to doing these kinds of actions even more than they've already done them on a really continuous, unbroken basis. But there has to be some sort of accountability, some community recognition from their community, because we as Black and browns, we know what time it is, and we've always known what time it is. But the wild part is that this violence is being unleashed in a white on white format. And if the whites care about themselves, which I'm not sure they do, by the way, if they cared about themselves, then they would do something about it. But I gotta bring attention to this shit, because I'm sorry, I'm not here for Black people commit the most crimes, Black people commit the most murders, Latinos are in the country, they're the worst. They're the worst of the worst. They're drug dealers, they're murderers, they're rapists. Sir, please collect your own people. These crackers, these saltines, these grams, these clubs, these Girl Scouts, for fuck's sake. Well, Girl Scouts cookies, not crackers. Anyway, they're out of control and something needs to be done. So where are we going to start here? Let us go to North Carolina. I saw this story over the weekend. I'm sure you guys have heard plenty about it, but it bears fucking repeating, okay? A former Marine, Iraqi veteran, date of one Kelly Pickler to the Country Music Awards a dozen or years or so ago. His name is, what the fuck is his name? This nigga changed his name. Edge. Last name Edge. I'm like, who does he think he is? A wrestler? Wasn't some Edge niggas? Anyway, let me calm down. So the wildest of the actually, not even the wildest mass shooting that happened in America over the past few days. But I think this one definitely bears looking at. Well, let's go ahead and run the package. I appreciate you guys being here. Be sure to like the video, share, and subscribe. This week in whiteness. Let's take a look at the first package.
Courthouse. Here at the Brunswick County Courthouse, Nigel Edge faced a judge for the first time, bringing to light new information. We now know that Edge was a former sergeant in the Marine Corps, and Brunswick County District Attorney John David even bringing up in court he was previously a scout sniper. Service records show Edge served from 2003 to 2009. He's also a decorated veteran of the Iraq War, which is where he was injured in battle. David mentioned Edge had a traumatic brain injury and suffers from, quote, significant mental health issues. As for the shooting Saturday night, prosecutors say the attack was premeditated. They say Edge was seen pulling up to the same dock at American Fish Company on Friday night with his boat lights off. In court, they said another boat pulled up, though, and Edge then turned his boat lights on and left. On Saturday night, when he came back with a dog on board his boat, officials say he shot at least 8 people, killing 3 of them with gunshot wounds to the head.
Absolutely diabolical in the planning and methodology in which Nigel Edge decided to enact this instance of domestic terrorism and mass killings and mass casualty event. But what's even more diabolical is the way that information was presented. His D's were not presented until 60 seconds, 45 seconds into the package. What'd you hear first? Oh, he was a decorated Iraq veteran with a brain injury. Oh, poor baby. What the fuck? Like, notice the way that white power, white nationalism, even it don't think it's not deeply embedded in the way that news media presents information, especially when the assailant is a white cisgender man, right? I don't give a fuck if he had a brain injury. He needs to go talk to Trump. All the red states, go holler at Trump. You know how much he's cut the VA? You know how many psychologists that work for Veterans Affairs have lost their job under the Trump administration? And this guy, I shout out to Saturdays with Renee. Renee sent me the clip of him and Kelly Pickler. If you guys don't know who the fuck Kelly Pickler is, she was an American Idol. Did she win the shit? Was she a finalist? I don't fucking know. But but she went far and she parlayed the shit into a singing career in country music. And because he was a wounded veteran, Nigel Edge, Kelly Pickler took him to the Country Music Awards and they walked the red carpet together. And he's, famously photographed with her. He actually ended up suing her in civil court. It does sound like this man is unwell. I'm sorry, but being unwell does not give you a right. It's not an excuse. It's not a fucking justification. Like, something murderous lives inside of these folks, some of these folks, and especially the ones that are trained to be killers, because I'm sorry, they don't come home and forget that training, right? And of course, their mental and their psyches are ravaged by the inhumane and heinous acts that they likely committed while they were deployed as active duty soldiers in fucking Iraq. I can imagine how many people he killed. But see, that's the problem. When you train a dog to be vicious and not make distinctions about how vicious or to whom that viciousness will be applied, they'll apply it to whoever the fuck. And that shit was diabolical. This motherfucker sounded like he was going to shoot up the jam on Friday, but his plan seemed to be foiled or interrupted, right? So he came back the next night, killed 3 people, and got away momentarily. Apparently, he's a resident of Oak Island, North Carolina. I watched the press conference with the police chief and the sheriff, Brunswick County sheriffs. And what they said about this man is that Nigel Edge was a resident of Oak Island. He was known to law enforcement. He did not have a criminal record. And likely, though I can't recall if I heard this detail confirmed or no, but his firearm, the alleged murder weapon, legally purchased, right? And I really want news outlets and our politicians and our thought leaders and people, whose opinions that we value or somebody values. But can we think? I mean, we cannot equate a criminal record and an illegal gun as a predictor of violent behavior. Or we can't like, for example, Pam Bondi, drunk Judge Janine, when they are really going in on the youth of Washington, D.C. and people of Washington, D.C. Talk about how many career criminals that they've caught since the federal surge. And when you look at the career criminal record, it's disorderly conduct, it's fair evasion, it's public intox, it may be simple battery, right? Even if those who were carrying guns so-called illegally, they weren't busting them guns in the moment when the police caught out with them. You know what I'm saying? Simply possessing a gun shouldn't be illegal in the United States if we are going to adhere to the Second Amendment. But I'm not going down that fucking rabbit hole. My point being is that so many of these white male cisgender mass shooters have no criminal record and all their guns are purchased legally. So can we start actually using maybe lack of a criminal record and legally owned and purchased guns? Maybe those are actually the real indicators, the real future predictors of whether or not a person, or they can be included in and not excluded. Oh, well, he didn't have a criminal record, so I guess he's not a problem. What? So it's interesting to me that in Brunswick County, Nigel Edge is known to police, but he has no record. So that means that the police have had how many encounters with him? I'd be curious as to what was the context of these encounters, because we also know the way that whiteness protects itself and protects each other, right? Nigel Edge, white man, at his house, out at the boat deck, wilding the fuck out. Cops get called. They just go over there and have a talk with Nigel. Nigel may be drunk. Nigel may be belligerent. Nigel could be a whole bunch of fucking things. But, they're just going to go talk to him. They're just going to talk to him. They're going to see what his problem is. The way that police should actually encounter and deal with everybody. But no, this is the privilege and consideration that is only afforded to cisgender white men by and large by police, right? If Nigel had been a different color, I bet you he would have had an arrest record and not just encounters with police. I digress. So that was Nigel Edge, again, charged with 3 counts of first-degree murder and I believe 5 counts of attempted murder. Please be looking in your mailboxes for your jury summons. Also happening in the United States, let's go from North Carolina to Michigan, Grand Blanc, Michigan. What they say is about 60 miles north of Detroit. In French, Grand Blanc means big white. I don't think that's accidental, because I looked at the map, looked at the voter registration and voter demographics map. Grand Blanc, these places, actually, where this next shooter is from, Burton, Michigan, very, very, very red, heavily MAGA, went for Trump heavy. And this past Sunday, Thomas Sanford drove his truck bearing 2 American flags through the front doors of the Latter-day Saints Church in Grand Blanc, Michigan. Authorities seem to think that he might have had his truck booby-trapped to explode, because when he drove through the doors, he hopped out, opened fire, and then set a fire, caused a bomb, caused an explosion that created a catastrophic fire within the church. And I believe the most recent casualty count that I've heard is 5 confirmed dead and a number of others injured. And he was killed in a shootout with police. Did he kill himself? No, cops killed him. And I've seen a number of different creators, though I have not seen this presented in any legacy media or mainstream media. Maybe it will eventually come out, but others have perused Thomas Sanford's social media, not only that of him, but his spouse, because he was a father, also former Marine, also Iraq veteran. But he was a husband and a father, and his parents, he had parents, and everybody's on Facebook. Can you imagine the kind of content that his family posted on Facebook? Overwhelmingly in support of Trump. Apparently, Thomas Sanford was a fan of Charlie Kirk. There is an election being held in Burton, I believe, for their city council. And one of the candidates gave an interview. You could probably find it out in the world. I didn't have space for it tonight, but I saw it. And this guy, this white guy, I can't remember his name, but he's running for Burton City Council. And he said that he actually had a conversation with Thomas Sanford just days before he committed the shooting. And the guy goes on to say, he's like, oh, he was such a nice guy, such a nice guy. But then the conversation took a turn and he started to say some sharp things about Mormons. And apparently Thomas Sanford was such a fan of Charlie Kirk that he really despised Mormons. What does one have to do with the other? Well, as you know, the person accused of assassinating Charlie Kirk, Tyler Robinson, comes from a devout Mormon family. Sheesh. So I guess Thomas Sanford said, you know, the Mormons, not white enough, not Jesus-y enough. I actually got someone who was present or alleged to have been present in the sanctuary after Thomas Sanford rammed his truck into the church, apparently started asking his victims whether or not they believed in Jesus or Joseph Smith. And I imagine if you ask a member of the LDS church something like that, they're going to ride for Joseph Smith. I mean, anyway, what a horrible situation to be put in, period, regardless. But anyway, I want you guys to hear the way that KKK Caroline, the White House press secretary, listen to how she describes Thomas Sanford. Now, I want you to keep in mind the way that Tyler Robinson, the way that Joshua Johns is the young white man who shot at the ICE facility in Dallas, Texas, killing a number of detainees. I mean, hold your tongue, Kim. Hold your tongue. I will. Okay. Hold your tongue. All right. So, but we heard them described as these radical left, these Antifa terrorists. Maybe they Trende Agua. Maybe they MS-13. Who can really say? But not the same sort of condemnation for Thomas Sanford. I wonder why. So let's go to the clip, please.
FBI director. What did the FBI director tell you about the shooter? What do we know?
What we know at this point in time is that he was a member of this Michigan community, that he is a veteran of our United States Armed Forces. He served in the United States Marine Corps in Iraq. His family is cooperating with the FBI, and so they are currently trying to dig in and get to the bottom of why he committed this heinous act of violence. It's unfathomable. And as the president rightfully put in his Truth Social yesterday, this appears to be yet another targeted attack on Christians. And the Trump administration is fully committed to not only investigating these crimes, but prosecuting them to the fullest extent of the law, but also working very hard to prevent them, to see if there's red flags. The FBI is going to treat those as public safety emergencies and investigate them to try to prevent such violence from taking place in our country. From what I understand, based on my conversations with the FBI director, all they know right now is this was an individual who hated people of the Mormon faith. And they are trying to understand more about this, how premeditated it was, how much planning went into it, whether he left a note. All of those questions have yet to be answered, but certainly will be answered by the FBI. I think the American people in your audience can be assured. Look at the great work that the FBI did in light of, or in the hours and days following the assassination, I'm sorry, on Charlie Kirk's life. That was a successful investigation, and that investigation continues. And that assassin was, of course, being held accountable in the court of law now.
These people are so far in their own psychosis and their own deep delusions that they can't even say things honestly, right? The right, and trust me, I give two shits about Republican Democrat for those of you that are new here. Okay, but you know, we got smoke for everybody. But the right deified Charlie Kirk in such a way, they made him their own personal Jesus. Shout out to Depeche Mode. You know what I'm saying? Y'all made Charlie Kirk your own personal Jesus, and you make not so subtle and or veiled calls to avenge Charlie Kirk. Oh, we gotta the radicals. What do you think this motherfucker thought he was doing? He thought he was avenging Charlie Kirk because a Mormon killed Charlie Kirk. Now this fucking lunatic cracker, Iraq war veteran, Marine, now he got to go kill Mormons. Do you understand the disconnect? The loopiness. The propaganda machine is spinning so far out of control on the right. They are dizzying their own followers, and they are inciting their own people to commit more violence against their own people. Like, the shit is bonkers. And they keep wishing people like KKK Caroline, JD Vance, the president, Cash App Patel. They want all these niggas is just begging, please do this. No, all this violence, no, but go do this to the niggas. go do this to the Latinos. Like, don't go into the whitest place in America and shoot up other whites. But this is the psychosis that you have borne upon your own folks, and it will come up and bite you in the ass every time. And the crazy thing is, I don't even know if white America cares. Like, I just see a lot of apathy, a lot of hand wringing, right? KKK Caroline, you heard her right there talking about, oh, well, the FBI is going to start to, issue red flags for people that may give indicators that they may be, capable of this kind of behavior. Bitch, there are red flag laws on the books that the NRA and the gun lobby fought and really championed hard against putting them on the books. The red flag laws, if you've demonstrated that you have a diagnosed mental illness, or you have been, hospitalized for your mental health care, and or if you have domestic violence charges on you, and or if you've made threats against groups, public spaces, and the like, they will put your ass, they should fucking red flag your ass. God damn. And how many of these goddamn mass shooters could and should have been eligible to be on such a list, but because the white power structure, the racial patriarchal hierarchy looks out for each other, the white male cops usually look out for the white male suspect. Even circling back to the first person, Nigel Edge, this motherfucker probably should have been on a list, but because all of his encounters with police did not result in an arrest, because the cops was able to go over there and talk Nigel down out of whatever fucking lunatic shit that Nigel was over there on, Nigel don't get put on a list. And now 3 people are dead because y'all don't want to deal with fucking Nigel. Y'all don't want to deal with Thomas. Instead of addressing these monsters that you have created through your institutionalized psychopathy and your white nationalism and your bloodthirsty desire to go around the world and just slaughter all that don't bend the knee, that have the audacity to stand up and defend their homeland with their lives. You bring these monsters home, you turn them loose on everybody else, you cut their benefits, you turn off their suicide hotline, And what? They supposed to walk around and be normal and non-killers? White America, you better fucking deal with this shit. Stop looking externally. Stop looking at violence in the Black community. Trust me, we are aware. We are taking steps, okay? What the fuck happens actually in Black communities, white folks, is really not your fucking business, to be honest, considering the level of disarray that your own house is in. Raggedy shit. Go clean up your shit. Your shit looking like hoarders. Well, your house ain't clean. Bitch, if you don't fucking address those 8-foot piles of trash, please and thank you. Immediately. I wanted to play this clip from Democracy Now! Because the interview journalist Ken Klippelstein, I just like saying his name. I think it's the alliteration. It's probably Ken Klippelstein, but whatever. He got to accept all. he must accept all pronunciations. Your joint is long, dog. We got to pronounce that shit how we want to. But anyway, I digress. So anyway, Ken Klippelstein was on Democracy Now! Talking about Joshua Johns. Joshua Johns. I know we've had so many mass shooters in such a short amount of time. You're like, who the fuck is Joshua Johns? Again, the 29-year-old white man who shot up the Dallas ICE facility, who allegedly had anti-ICE scrawled on his bullet casings. I'm sorry, gang. Is this some 2025 shit? Like, is this a thing? When did niggas start writing shit on bullets? That all now all the shooters writing shit on bullets. Like, what? Oh, is this? And you know what? I can't. So anyway, for all the dog whistling, I guess, that the right makes, that Republican lawmakers and Republican, pundits, hosts, etc., make about these shooters allegedly having a left bent. It's not bearing out. It's not working out. You know what I'm saying? That whole narrative is falling apart because it is usually who we think it is. It's some young disaffected white man who is either an incel or a closeted gay, can't get a good job, I guess, or maybe he just don't want to work. Of course he could get a good job. He's a white man. He got an uncle, his daddy, his grandfather. Someone's going to put him in a position to do something, and usually to do something over another employee who has more experience and who's just better at their job. But I digress. So anyway, Klippelstein came up and talked about how he interviewed friends of Joshua Johns and made a mention about what his political leanings were. And I think this, it just needs to be heard because it's a false narrative. It's a false binary, right? These young white men are shooting up the jam because this is how they've been trained and conditioned. Okay. This is how they've been raised. This is the society of whence they come. And it's not, are they on the left or the right? But let's take a look at the clip.
3 friends of the deceased shooter. I tracked down 3 friends of the deceased shooter who had known him since childhood and asked them straightforwardly, what were his politics, what were his views? And their answer was basically that he had libertarian leanings, but he was generally apolitical. And that was something that was corroborated by his own brother, who gave an interview saying, this guy wasn't political. I'd never heard him say anything about ICE prior to this. And one of the most surprising aspects of this investigation for me was talking to his former friends, and I kept running into the same issue, which was that, I'd fallen out of touch with him and didn't have recent insight into what his views were. I kept hearing this, and by the 3rd time I hear it, the person says, oh, you know what happened? Probably no one knew him recently other than maybe his immediate family, because he started spending huge amounts of time on the anonymous chat forum called 4chan, and just playing video games. So apparently he dropped out of school, kind of became a recluse, lost all social contact, immersed himself in this world of, just to describe 4chan, provocation and trolling, and people would describe it as sort of controversial site. And then there ends up being the shooting, and I ask his friends about it. Okay, he has written on these unused bullets, anti-ice. Clearly it's anti-ice, right? And his friends say, I wouldn't interpret it that way. He was never a sincere guy. Everything he said was laced with irony and sarcasm. He was a very sardonic person. So they were all skeptical of the idea that this was anything but some practical joke. They said that, because of his libertarian leanings, he didn't like the government, and that apparently, according to investigators, was one of the conclusions they came to based on what they've been able to go over that he left behind. But that wasn't specific to the right or the left. That was a general disdain for government and a disdain that he seemed to have for all sorts of things in life.
So there's several things actually to take away kind of quickly, because when his friends, Joshua John's friends, say that him writing anti-ice on the bullets probably didn't mean anything, he probably meant it as a joke. That's sort of how I heard people describing people. When I say people who are deep online, deep into video games, etc. Tyler Robinson writing, "Hey fascist, catch" on the bullet, right? That's a line from a video game that these young dorks like to play, right? So the young dorks got it, right? But us old motherfuckers didn't get it. And us didn't get it like their parents, their parents' generation. And the elected leaders, governors, the White House spokespeople, president, vice president, y'all don't get it fucking either. Y'all not paying attention to your youth at all. You have no idea how they communicate. You don't even know what their, words and phraseology mean. And not even in a way like parents and older folks don't understand young people's slang. No, you got, apparently these video gamers and 4chaners are on levels of irony, I suppose, that only they really understand, or you have to be plugged into the community to get. And by the way, how many more of these young male mass shooters are going to be active and known 4chan and 8chan members and, forum participants before 4chan is designated a terrorist organization? Right? And I know you're like, Kim, 4chan is an online forum. It's not an organization. Oh, sort of like Antifa, right? Like, Antifa is an idea. Anti-fascist. That is something that most people, I would think, could get behind. There's no executive director of Antifa. There's no office of which you can call the mainline Antifa, right? But Antifa is now designated a terrorist organization, and it makes no fucking sense. But yet 4chan, a spot where numerous mass shooters are known to be deeply engaged, is it being monitored? Is it being taken down? Thank you, Dawn. Thank you so much, Afraid Not, for your Cash App support. Super appreciated, sis. Thank you. Thank you. I just want to know, guys. So here's the thing. I don't bring you the stories in the hope that we are going to somehow wake up some of the MAGA cultists from their deep delusion about who is the real threat domestically, right? It's not Venezuelan fishermen in the Caribbean, right? It's not the flower vendors. It's not the folks getting snatched from Home Depot parking lots. Absolutely not. As always, the killer is calling from inside the house. And if you don't collect them, if you don't actually pay attention to them, your children, like your actual sons, your nephews, your grandsons, like if you don't address them and their mental health issues and their deep depression and their anxiety and their lack of socialization, like you don't force them to do shit. You don't force them to go work. You don't force them to take out the trash. Because ultimately, I think white parents who find themselves in this family structural setup, they know that their kids, their adult sons, their young teenage sons, they are more of a threat to them or as big of a threat to the family as they are to the public. And I feel as though it is a sense of shame in which some of these white parents don't seek help. They feel embarrassed, but please, I need you to get past your embarrassment. your little angel is a threat to public safety. Okay. And he needs help. And you're not helping him by not helping him. And also by encouraging his bullshit addictions, whatever they may be, porn, gambling, video gaming, 4channing, whatever the fuck. Like, please be parents. Please get a grip of your kids. And please don't think that whatever their issue is, mental health or otherwise, that you can pray that shit away. Not to white Jesus. Y'all better switch it up. You better start praying to Palestinian Jesus if you want results. That's why y'all kids out here are a fucking mess, because y'all out here praying to white Jesus, and white Jesus don't exist, beloveds. White Jesus is in fact a delusion, a illusion of your delusion. Collect your children. I'm gonna take a very, very quick break. I appreciate you guys being here with me tonight. Thank you all so much for joining us. Please like the video and do me a favor. Be sure to set all your notifications and your bells to Black Liberation Media, especially this week, as the platform pays tribute and homage to the Assata Shakur. And I mean, shamefully, gang, I don't know enough about Assata, and I feel as though I have a unique opportunity to kind of build with somebody like Kamau, right? Kamau said he played spades with this lady. What? Right. Kamau at the table with superheroes and whatnot. That's pretty incredible. Let's appreciate Kamau also for a moment. But so Black Liberation Media, that's why the platform exists, to teach us. And thankfully, there are teachers, there are professors, there are educators, organizers there who also educate. So take advantage of the resource while it's still here. while it's still here, before Palantir fucking flags us all and everybody passport done got revoked. And we like, God damn it. Fuck. Shit. You know what I'm saying? The goal, y'all, is to live and die free like Assata. I know she didn't have full freedom of movement, but baby, the movement she had was far greater than what she would have had languishing in prison, right? So she won. Woo! Love to see a Black woman win. And I know y'all like, Kim the lady died. I understand that. I understand the conditions under which she died, and we can absolutely celebrate. That's a W, kids. That's a fucking W. That's a win. That's a win. Sheesh. Anyway, thank you all for being here. So, where are we headed next? Because everything that I am seeing is all bad. I got some whites doing homicide, some ICE snatching niggas out the ride, Trump telling us so many lies. Everything that I am seeing is all bad. Oh, that's okay, but 3-Eye Atlas coming, so don't fret. Anyway, I laugh to keep on going crazy. Haha. Okay, so this and let me and I'm trying to distract myself with dumb jokes, because this next story is in fact far too serious. It's consequential and it's closer, right? So you guys know that I live in the DC suburbs. I don't live in a fancy. I do not live in a Bowie or Upper Marlboro McMansion, nor am I the Real Housewives of Potomac. I live in what has been described as a modest suburb, which is fair. It works for me, right? And you guys know, for basically the duration of this entire year, the story of Kilmar Abrego Garcia, the man from El Salvador who was kidnapped off the streets of Beltsville, Maryland, on Route 1 Baltimore Avenue by ICE agents. Then he was sent to the CCOT prison in El Salvador. His people fought for him. They got him back. stateside anyway. Trump administration charged him with some bullshit human trafficking. He refused to accept the deal. And he's still in a continued saga trying to fight his deportation. The last I heard, he was trying to fight his deportation to Uganda, right? Because the Trump administration don't give a fuck. Send people any fucking where, right? So as you can imagine, this has instilled fear and terror in our immigrant communities, right? And per the Supreme Court ruling, the opinion given by Justice Kavanaugh, that is totally acceptable for American law enforcement to racially profile people based off how they look, not based off whether they've actually committed any crimes, as to whether or not police and ICE agents, etc., can engage with the person. So there was a viral video that was going around, and you may have seen it. In case you haven't, I'm about to show it to you. But as I'm looking at this video, I'm like looking at the caption. I said, oh, that says Hyattsville, Maryland. Look closer. I know where that laundromat is. I want you guys to take a look at this video. And for those, you know, if you don't speak the Spanish, ayuda means help. Ayúdame means help me. And you're going to see ICE agents attack a Latino man on the streets, in the streets of where I live, or very close by to where I live. And this is not new. I told y'all there was fucking ICE spotted literally in my neighborhood a couple weekends ago. And I was happy to see the people walking around passing out Know Your Rights flyers. Like, this shit is goddamn serious. You know what I'm saying? And regardless, I have a fucking US passport and I'm terrified. Like, because the next order is going to be niggas. You understand? Oh, it's round up Latinos and, you know, undocumented Asians and everybody else today. Black people, you should always know we are always on the menu, regardless of our paperwork status. It don't even fucking matter. So it's happening to our Latino neighbors today. It can very easily be us tomorrow, next week, next year. So yeah, this is our fight. But let me show y'all this video coming out of my community in Prince George's County, Maryland, where we have a black governor named Wes Moore, who I don't think has said fuck all about any of this. So let's take a look.
Ayuda! Help! Help your hands! Help me! Help! Ayuda! Help! Help your hands! Help me! Help me! Ayúdame! Help me! Help me! Ayuda! 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 Help me! Help me! Ayuda! Hey, look at how's the other man right there? Ayúdame! They're trying to kill me! Ayúdame! Ayúdame! That's how they treat old people! Why paper? Why? Why? You trying to kill me? Ay, American! Ay, American!
Put the gun down.
Why you trying to kill me?
Put the gun down.
Why you shooting at me?
Put the gun down.
Why you trying to shoot at me?
You're gonna shoot
Point
him.
the gun at me!
Point the gun. We have it.
Yeah, see how you trying to point the gun at me? Yeah, he kept trying to shoot at me. Oh my God, he was trying to shoot me at me.
I mean, like, that is disturbing. It's upsetting. It's horrific, and it's happening. Okay, it's happening right now. It's happening in a lot of places across this country. And here in the DC metro area, you know, ICE activity is up significantly. In the Baltimore area, they raided Eastern Market like a couple of weeks ago, shut it down and took away, I don't know how many folks, kidnapped, I don't know how many folks. We're seeing increased ICE activity throughout Montgomery County, throughout Prince George's County, obviously throughout Washington, D.C., as Trump has authorized his federal surge. But I guess that federal surge doesn't know any fucking boundaries or borders, because these niggas are over here in PG, like, and I need to explain to you, like, this area right there where that happened, it looked to me to be Hamilton Street and Queens Chapel Road. You can look it up on Google Maps, okay? It is it's a black and brown area. I don't know how to say it. That part of Hyattsville also, so it's weird. So like Prince George's County, even though it's known as black and brown now, historically PG County is where white folks lived by and large, like mid-century, 50s, 60s, 70s. You know what I'm saying? DC was Chocolate City for a reason because all the black people did live in DC, and Prince George's County was a white enclave, right? But then when black people started to get access to opportunities, better jobs, better education, the black people in DC started to move out to Prince George's County, and then Prince George's County experienced a great deal of white flight. The whites went to Northern Virginia, they went out to Anne Arundel, Howard County. They rode out, they left. So PG is deeply black and brown now, but there is a gentrification, I guess, regentrification. I don't fucking know, but the whites are coming back to claim they shit. I don't fucking know, but white people starting to move back into that area, and the home prices are actually pretty significant, right? But still working class, like, make no mistake about it, like working class. And our Latino neighbors, hello, they got to go to work. You understand? Like, they got to go to the store. They got to go to fucking Safeway and pick up prescriptions. Like, they got shit to do. You know what I mean? They have families to provide for and take care of. They have children to pick up from school and take to and from activities. And now people who are residents of this country, I could give two shits about citizenship, because basically, y'all know how I feel. I'm abolish all fucking borders, okay? No person can be illegal on planet Earth any goddamn where. Let's be serious here. So their citizenship status is inconsequential to me, to be honest. You know what I mean? If you call yourself getting rid of the criminals, please go start in your fucking basement. The white power structure. Start with the criminals in your goddamn basement, trading CSAM materials, child sex abuse materials. Like, let us all behave ourselves. Like I let you say, let us all face our fucking fronts. And that shit makes me sad. It breaks my heart, and it makes me angry to see people be subjected to that level of violence. And did you see the fucking Super Trooper, Keystone Cop, unprofessional, untrained, unqualified behavior of those agents? I think one was masked, but the nigga that dropped his fucking gun. Sir, put your goddamn gun away, you pussy. Soft to scrotum skin bastard. Who the fuck was you drawing down, or you dropped your fucking gun? Because again, they just sending these these rookies, these trainees, just sending them out there in jeans and shit, with Amazon ice vests and FBI t-shirts and whatnot. Fuck out of here. I'm listening to the audiobook called Ordinary Men. I apologize, I can't recall the author, but basically it is detailing the Nazi police forces, not the SS, not the SS soldiers, not the Gestapo, the police forces that they conscripted or some volunteered of regular ass Germans or Lithuanians or wherever was in the Austro-Hungarian, whatever the fuck, right? All them niggas. But they were all working class, middle-aged, white men, German men. And they would go to, and I'm not talking in addition to those that did round up Jewish people to put them on the trains to take them to the concentration camps. Some of these stories are of these secret police or these special police forces going into small towns in Russia, in Poland, a town of, let's say, 1,200, and 30% of the population is Jewish. So they round up all 400 Jewish folks, and they shoot them, and they put them in mass graves, and that's it. That's what happens. Okay, I am really concerned you know, I'm listening to this book. I said, oh, well, this doesn't sound good because it's sounding like possibility, right? It's sounding like something that is not beyond what is conceivable in our current political state and climate in this country. Okay? I can totally see these ICE fuckers doing some mass grave shit. Oh, why not? Because IDF is doing mass grave shit, aren't they? Did we see that sister at the hospital, the nurse in Gaza City, saying that the I said IDF IOF forces are digging a big hole, and usually when they do that, they're preparing for mass graves. IOF and the U.S. have a symbiotic relationship. Okay, they do the same tactics. So when I see IOF doing some shit like they've been doing throughout the genocide, I said, oh, well, that's giving American law enforcement and military the green light to do that shit right here. And Trump is all for it. Horrible. So that's what ICE is up to in Maryland. Where is Westmore? I'm sorry. Y'all seen Westmore? Anybody seen Westmore? Oh, I saw him. He was at the music festival talking about, hey, we're here to bring all of Marylanders together. Oh, everyone is welcome in Maryland. Do you have fuck all to say about these ICE raids that are happening in Maryland? Because I know Westmore sometimes he act like he don't know what PG County is. You know, he know about Baltimore, he know about Annapolis. He don't be out here unless it's to, you know, open some shit. I don't know what the fuck this nigga's doing. Where is Westmore on these brown shirt tactics attacking the residents of Maryland and terrorizing entire communities in Maryland? Oh, I guess since it's not the National Guard, that it ain't his business. Democrats are fucking suckers, and don't y'all ever goddamn forget it. They are not the leaders. They are not the resistance. They are not the saviors. They are not the way nor the answer. In other ICE news, I hope you guys have seen the story because I'm about to tell it to you. I want to hear it go. So, a brother who is really probably the immigrant dream story of a man who came to the United States, got his education, and worked his way up to be one of the nation's leading educators. And his name is Dr. Roberts. And I've heard conflicting reports about whether or not he is from Ghana or Guyana, because, you know, dumbass Americans don't know the difference. They don't know the fucking difference. Ask any American educated in American public schools. Point to me where Ghana, West Africa, and Guyana, South America. And can you point to either of these places on the map? And the answer we all know is no. So I'm unclear as to whether or not Dr. Roberts is Ghanaian or Guyanan, or is it Guyanan? Regardless, I know where the fuck I looked at the globe and the maps and shit. I know where I don't know where everywhere is. I still don't know where the fuck New Caledonia is, but nobody knows. Well, y'all don't fucking know where New Caledonia is, but regardless, that's neither here nor there. So anyway, this black man who is awesome at what he does, apparently, because in spite of him being kidnapped, it would seem, by ICE, who claim that he has overstayed his stay and allegedly had a removal and deportation order out for him. When they took him into ICE custody, his community responded. And what I mean by community, I mean Des Moines, Iowa, because that is where Dr. Roberts is the superintendent of schools. And guess what? They like Dr. Roberts out there in Des Moines, and they said, not today, Satan. So let's take a look at the story.
Erupted after ICE agents arrested the head of Iowa's largest school district. Immigration officials say Des Moines Public Schools Superintendent Ian Roberts was considered an ICE fugitive and was living and working in the country illegally.
Protesters rallied outside of the U.S. Citizenship and Immigration offices in Des Moines Friday, stunned by the arrest of public school superintendent Ian Roberts, an immigrant from Guyana.
The general public, I think, is not okay with what's happening.
In a targeted enforcement operation, Roberts allegedly fled before being arrested. Officials say inside the vehicle he was driving, they found thousands of dollars in cash and a loaded handgun. It is a crime for someone without legal status to possess a firearm.
We do not have all the facts. There is much we do not know. However, what we do know is that Dr. Roberts has been an integral part of our school community.
Roberts became superintendent of Iowa's largest school system in 2023. The district says he disclosed that he had previously pled guilty to a minor firearms charge.
We have a plan to reimagine education here for the future in Des Moines.
But they say they were not aware of a deportation order issued last May. Roberts is accused of overstaying a student visa issued in 1999. In a statement, the local ICE director tells CBS this should be a wake-up call for our communities to the great work that our officers are doing every day to remove public safety threats.
I love Dr. Roberts. He has been a wonderful superintendent for us.
Roberts, a former Olympic athlete, had been well liked by many in the community, and while some are now questioning what background checks were done by the school district, others are questioning the motivation behind the arrest.
He was targeted specifically because he won't give access to ICE to arrest our kids. And we are 100% behind him.
All right, y'all. And that's the kind of energy that we need to see really across the board. Dr. Roberts, superintendent of Des Moines, Iowa schools, but also he worked in Baltimore City schools for years. He is an alum of Coppin State University in Baltimore. He does have ties here. And this has actually been a story here locally because he's a very respected member of the community. Now, I know the package mentioned that he had a prior gun charge. And let me explain the gun charge, because Dr. Roberts is a hunter, okay? And I believe, was he in Pennsylvania? Where did this arrest happen? I can't recall, but he was hunting with a rifle and encountered a game warden whom was white. And Dr. Roberts, being black and fully understanding the situation, that, hey, let me go put this loaded rifle away to make this white, also armed game warden feel more comfortable with my presence. So when Dr. Roberts went and stored his weapon in his vehicle, he was given a citation for having a loaded a loaded weapon in the car, right? And this was an incident in which I think it was a fine involved or some sort of minor adjudication that he believed had been resolved satisfactorily, right? So the motivations to attack, basically to kidnap this well-respected person, it does, I mean, obviously, aside him from being black and not born here, Trump says those are good enough reasons. But what was said by some of Dr. Roberts' supporters, that he is not letting ICE just come into Des Moines schools. I would imagine that Des Moines being in the Midwest, Iowa being, agricultural and, meat processing intensive, probably has a fairly significant immigrant population there. And obviously their children go to school. So, and I appreciate Dr. Roberts even willing to sacrifice his own safety and freedom to do what he can to protect students from ICE harassment and or kidnapping. So that's laudable for him. But now he's going to be subject to the inhumanity of this ICE deportation system that's going on, where people are being moved hundreds, if not thousands of miles away from their families, away from their legal representation, not being able to communicate, and of course being held in deplorable conditions. No cleanliness, no medical care being offered. I mean, y'all, it is Nazi Germany. And please, it ain't even got to the real bad part. Like, this is bad. Like, it's all bad. Like, this is, make no mistake about it. It's bad. Like, it is bad today. Okay. What makes it worse though is that it can get worse. And it will get worse unless the people rise up. The people rise up. So, Chicago, the people have been rising up. Shout out to the Chi. So, even though Trump was not able to get National Guards people into Chicago proper the way he really wanted to, he did step up ICE and Homeland Security forces in Chicago. And there, I have a couple stories here out of Chicago because the shit is crazy. And my second story that I will be presenting from Chicago is really going to perhaps draw the battle lines between Trump's white nationalist mini army, ICE, Homeland Security, versus Black leadership, both in the law enforcement ranks and Black politicians. So anyway, hold on. Let me start with this first story out of Chicago, because you guys know we support press freedom here. We support our First Amendment rights, even though we are Negro and we are not owed. America says, "Oh yeah, the Bill of Rights. That's just for us. That's not for you, darkies. Even you lighty darkies. that ain't for y'all. Get with the program." So anyway, you know, we support press freedom here, and when journalists are attacked, that is an attack on speech. That is an attack on information. And it's usually non-white journalists that get attacked with the most brutality. And such was the case for a reporter out of Chicago who was driving by the Broadview ICE facility. Broadview, right there, one of the villages right outside of Chicago, where ICE has a facility, and that's been the site of a number of clashes between Chicago residents, anti-ICE protesters, and of course the Gestapo themselves. But this journalist wasn't covering the facility at the moment. I guess she was just kind of doing a drive-by observance, and she was attacked with chemical munitions, and the shit is nothing to play with. So anyway, let's take a look at this package coming out of Chicago, where ICE attacked a woman journalist seemingly for no reason, but they may have had a reason. Anyway, let's roll that, Will.
Here at the Broadview ICE facility, there are protesters lined up at the fence, ICE agents on the roof, but there has not been any chemical agents or pepper balls. Tonight here at the Broadview ICE facility, there are protesters lined up at the fence, ICE agents on the roof, but there has not been any chemical agents or pepper balls deployed like we saw this weekend. But when our Assault Rezai was here this morning, there was no one here. It was just her inside her car when she was hit by a pepper ball shot by an ICE agent.
You'll hear me multiple times have to clear my throat as I inhaled a lot of some of the powder that you saw here.
Our own Assault Rezai says she was driving near the Broadview ICE facility entrance Sunday morning to see if any activity was taking place. It's a job she, as well as many of our reporters and photojournalists, have been doing the last few weeks as protests continue to break out. But Assault says she was turning her car around when an ICE agent in tactical gear shot a pepper ball from behind the fence about 50 feet away.
An ICE agent that was masked pointed his weapon and shot directly at my car. He saw my window was open and he shot right here. You can see the point of impact right there.
You can see white powder exploded on the hood of her car, windshield, and even engulfed the inside.
And I was sitting right there with my window open. A lot of it went inside of my car and on my face. I immediately felt it burning. I started throwing up.
Today, federal agents were seen traveling in packs around downtown Chicago, on Michigan Avenue, the river, and around River North. It's unclear why they made this appearance.
I'm angry this afternoon that we even have to be here.
Today, elected officials and immigrant rights activists held a press conference in response to the troops.
I saw the video footage of Border Patrol and ICE parading down Michigan Avenue, masked, unmarked vehicles, terrorizing our communities, clearly willing to sell their souls for a $50,000 signing bonus.
My face has been on fire for at least the last 10 minutes or so.
As for Assault, she says the only thing that helped her after she was hit with a pepper ball was a cold, wet rag to soothe her face from the chemicals. We don't know why agents shot at her, but she did receive help from a photojournalist and a fire department official who happened to be near there.
The scariest part about this is I could have been anybody, and I could have been killed. I was driving, my vehicle was moving when they shot directly at my car.
Assault did file a police report, and Broadview police say they do expect Homeland Security to cooperate with their investigation. We reached out to Homeland Security and did not hear back. In Broadview, Marissa Sulik, CBS News, Chicago.
I mean, that's an incredible story to me, right? Now, under international law and treaty, the Geneva Convention, the Treaty of Versailles, the Treaty of Paris, one of those is right. But the point is, journalists are supposed to be protected, period. But the funny thing is, this ICE agent had no fucking clue who she was, or whether or not she was a reporter, or whether or not she was a civilian. I'm certain he looked at her and maybe non-white and woman. Oh, easy target. Her window down. Watch this, guys. Just like in Call of Duty, I bet you I can put that pepper ball right on the inside of her dashboard. I bet you had a bet going on with the other fucking the other fucking stormtroopers about how they could inflict terror and harm and potentially a public safety hazard on this woman driving on this street as she was legally allowed to do. And again, like she said, she could have caused an accident. She could have lost control of her vehicle. She could have been killed. She could have killed someone else. Would the ICE agent, would the ICE agency been held accountable or responsible? What do you guys think? I'm sorry. You think Kristi Noem is out here giving up her officers, her fucking stormtroopers? Now, I know you guys maybe saw the clip. There's so many clips. The horrific clip of ICE agents detaining a man in New York City after his immigration hearing, after his court appearance, and his wife and his family hysterical, begging him not to be taken. And the ICE agent is cruelly mocking this woman, talk about adios, adios. And then he grabs her by the hair. I mean, just really manhandles this lady. And the clip drew so much outrage that, was it Kristi Noem specifically? But anyway, ICE said that this individual had been removed from duty, right? And I'm like, well, if that behavior is egregious enough, if that conduct is so reprehensible enough for him to be removed from duty, have you seen these other 5,000 fucking videos of these fucking goons just enacting willful, wanton, unnecessary violence upon protesters, upon members of the press, upon family members of those that they are kidnapping and snatching away? Like, the upside down is where we are. So, as you heard, the journalist there has filed a criminal complaint against the ICE agent, right? Who fired a chemical munition at her as a civilian for seemingly no reason. No provocation, nothing justifies a pepper ball being shot at a driver who was, for any reason, really, obeying the law, not obeying the fucking law, but she was clearly obeying the law. So the Broadview Police Department is helmed by a black man. And when this black man, this black police chief, had an encounter with ICE himself, chat, do you think he was treated with all the due deference of a man in uniform? Do you think he was treated as somebody who was part of that thin blue line? Do you think he was treated with respect that you would think that someone who had achieved the rank or the position of police chief would be afforded especially when dealing with other law enforcement agencies, even federal ones such as HSI or ICE. Do you think they treated this black man with respect? Of course not. Why would they do that? This is Trump's white nationalist army. Duh. And yes, he does have black and brown stormtroopers. They are coons and they hate themselves and they hate their mamas. You know what I'm saying? They hate their grandmothers. Yes. Not talking about them. So anyway, I want you guys to hear the story because the same agency, the same police department of which the journalist there filed her criminal complaint is the same one that is getting not a lot of cooperation and seemingly a shit ton of disrespect from the ICE agents that are staging in their town, in their Chicagoland community. So let's take a look at this package.
Conversation with the I-team. In a lengthy conversation with the I-team, Broadview Police Chief Thomas Mills says he was verbally attacked by an ICE agent during a protest outside of the immigration processing facility earlier this month. This is the mayor of Broadview just issued a scathing letter to ICE, accusing agents of regularly exposing local police to tear gas.
I've been doing this job a long time now, but I was shocked. I've never been spoken to by a fellow law enforcement officer in such a way.
Broadview Police Chief Thomas Mills says on top of requiring 75% of his department's manpower for crowd control outside of the ICE processing facility in the west suburban city, he was personally, verbally attacked by ICE agents during a protest.
I'm a leader of a department. I know that my office is looking at me for guidance and leadership, and I had to ensure that, I had to stay calm and not engage in such unprofessional behavior.
Chief Mills says he was walking across a skirmish on September 12th, the day this video was shot. He was called multiple expletives by an ICE agent, calling him a coward, accusing him of neglecting his duties during protests that got physical. Mills also telling the I-team about an incident earlier this week where a pedestrian was hit by a truck near the ICE facility.
Allegedly, a ICE agent struck someone and continued on into their location. And during the course of that, while trying to gather information, there was pepper spray released while my officers right there. They felt the effects of that pepper spray where it altered their vision. They were coughing, and I was on the phone with them. And they had to leave the area so they can decontaminate themselves.
Now, Broadview's mayor has issued a blistering letter to ICE excoriating their actions, saying, quote, Broadview police officers are routinely being exposed to ICE agents' tear gas volleys, forcing them out of action until they recover. Broadview firefighters and ambulance personnel are being exposed. Nearby residents are being exposed. Beleaguered Broadview residents are begging for relief from your center's siege of our neighborhood. And Congressman Chuy Garcia weighing in on potential conflict between local law enforcement and ICE.
You cannot just come in and act as a cowboy doing whatever they want, running roughshod over people. You need to treat people with dignity and respect, and that's not happening.
Now, the investigation into that pedestrian struck by a truck outside of the ICE facility is ongoing. ICE has not responded to the I-team's multiple requests now for comment.
All right, Mark, a lot to track there. 75% of the Broadview police part of that crowd control.
Absolutely, and wow. that's leaving not a lot for Broadview, obviously, for all of the rest of the city there. And tensions, not just with protesters, but obviously with local police as well.
It continues to be very high right now.
Yeah.
So this is not a suggestion. I'm not encouraging anybody to do this. But it seems as though if someone thought this way, if you ever wanted to rob a bank in Broadview, now might be the fucking time. 75% of the police down. Why? Because they've been gassed. They done been hit with the pepper balls and the fucking tear gas. Nigga, commit all the crimes in Broadview right now, goddammit, against institutions. Psych, psych, psych. That's not advice, nor is that medical advice. And I'm not a lawyer. I'm just saying. How many banks they got in Broadview? I'm just saying. Yo, these niggas don't give a fuck, okay? Trump don't give a fuck. I'm guessing, and Homeland Security don't give a single fuck I didn't tell y'all my new name for Homeland Security Secretary. Cunty Gnome. Cunty Gnome. Don't give a goddamn who them stormtroopers gas. They can gas the police. They can gas the fire department, EMS, residents, protesters. Anybody can get it, even fans in the stands. This is wild times. And the funny thing is, and again, funny, not funny, the black police chief, sir, you have been declared an enemy. Okay? You have been declared an enemy combatant. So what are you going to do? Are your officers going to comply? Or what? Y'all going to get down to lay down? What are we doing? Like, see, this is a kind of conflict and tension that I mean, again, I'm not talking about the innocent people, the people being kidnapped by ICE, and of course the protesters out there demonstrating against. I'm not talking about them, but this is where the interesting conflict comes in for me, because it's like, for those of you that are black, you are Negro, and you're there as a placeholder in the system. You are there to serve as the buffer between the people and the state. Well, in this case, he is the fucking state, but I guess as a local police chief, he is the buffer between the federal state, right, and the people. But it's his officers that are also catching strays. And by the way, I hate when politicians do this. The news does this as well, but somehow police officers' health and safety and their well-being is usually listed ahead of that of the citizens and the residents and the protesters, right? Police officers are getting, sprayed and they got to decontaminate. Sir, what about the residents? Okay. And I hope also this would give the Broadview police chief maybe pause. If his department is in possession of chemical munitions, hey, now that your officers have been on the receiving end of tear gas and pepper balls, hey, that doesn't feel good, does it? Not good for their health, is it? Is it worth being exposed to chemical munitions, by the way, which are outlawed under United Nations conventions and shit? You're not supposed to be dispersing tear gas, even though it seems like a lot of governments do, irrespective of what international law is. Like, hey, maybe take this opportunity, chief of police, to have compassion for those that are out protesting on behalf of not only all of our rights, but those that are having their rights absolutely disregarded by ICE and Homeland Security and Cunty Gnome. I'm going to move quick through these next couple ones, y'all, because even though I feel as though, and I'm not a Chicago win till we blow like Chicago win. I love Chicago, love the shit out of Chicago, but I'm not from there. I don't know how the political dynamics work per se, right? As an outsider, I know that the organizing community, or rather, people were excited when Brandon Johnson was elected mayor. He comes out of some of those spaces. I can't say that how well a job he's doing, but I will say this: Brandon Johnson, as it pertains to National Guard troops or the threat of being deployed to Chicago streets, and with this surge in Homeland Security agents to Chicago, he is holding his nuts, at least with his rhetoric, right? At least with his words. And maybe that's all he can do, right? I think he did issue an executive order saying that Chicago police should not be cooperating with federal with immigration enforcement, right? That's cool. Chicago police still a gang of marauding thugs themselves, but that's another video. But anyway, so Brandon Johnson had this to say about Tom Holman. I done blanked on Tom Holman's fucking title. Senior Klansman. There we go. That fits. It's a senior Klansman in the Trump administration, in charge of kidnappings and deportations, etc. Holman, I guess this is a story, because there's so many stories of corruption coming out of the Trump administration. It is hard to keep them all straight, but allegedly Holman accepted $50K cash in a Kava bag. Shout out to Kava. They got good Mediterranean food and shit around here. $50K cash in order to help steer, allegedly, ICE and Homeland Security contracts for imprisonment in detention towards private prison companies. Brandon Johnson had something to say about it. And I appreciate it. You know why? Because Mayor Muriel Bowser of Washington, D.C. don't have shit to say about shit. Karen Bass in Los Angeles don't really seem to have the shit to say about shit. Eric Adams don't have shit to say about shit. So when I see a black mayor actually saying something, even if that's all he can do, well, good. Let that be something. Do your grandstanding, but don't stand there like a fucking punk and be quiet and talking about, well, we're going to accept the federal help from our federal partners. Get the fuck out of here. Let's go to Brandon Johnson. Check him out.
The so-called border czar accepted a $50,000 bribe from undercover FBI agents in exchange for lucrative detention center contracts. So let's call it what it is. Tom Homan sold out the American people for $50,000 in cash. And that's why I'm calling on the federal government to appoint an independent investigator to review every single contract in the city of Chicago, the county and the state, related to any ICE detention centers. The people have a right to know if these contracts are legitimate or if they were granted as a result of outright bribery and corruption. The Trump administration's detention campaign is not for public safety, it is for profit. More than 90% of the immigration detention centers are run by private and for-profit corporations. The Trump administration has already engaged in no-bid contracts with private prison contractors across the United States. Executives at private prison firms are calling this a gold rush, as their stocks have soared by as much as 80%. In May, the CEO of a private prison corporation told investors, and this is a quote, "truly one of the most exciting periods in the history of the company." One company estimated that they could make as much as $400 million of taxpayer money per year from private detention. Another said that it could make as much as $1 billion in additional revenue. The two largest private prison corporations gave President Donald Trump at least $2.8 million for his re-election campaign. And this is the agency that Trump and Republicans just handed $170 billion, a blank check with little to no oversight. Trump gave his personal militarized force more money than all other local and state police funding combined. And the guy they put in charge of that funding was bought for $50,000 in cash.
So Brandon Johnson put that out on his TikTok page. And I said, good, call for an investigation, call for a, special prosecutor, independent report, something. That's fine. Do all the accounting. Should there ever be an equivalent to the Nuremberg trials or, something of the like, all this information and research and evidence may find itself to be useful at a point in the future. This to me doesn't do much, but when you know that you're powerless, when Brandon Johnson knows that really he can't stop Homeland Security and ICE from coming into Chicago. He can even, he can make even executive order proclamations to Chicago PD. They're probably going to cooperate with the feds on an individual officer basis because, the thin blue line, all that bullshit. But I appreciate him at least saying something. I appreciate him calling for stuff. Because instead of saying, Karen, like what Karen Bass is doing to me just looks completely feckless out in Los Angeles. Mayor Bowser in DC, Eric Adams in New York. Mayor Bowser, kind of is in a different position, but she's very timid, I think, with her words and very calculating. She doesn't want to piss off Trump. Fuck Trump. Piss him the fuck off. If we're worried about hurting white nationalists and white supremacists' feelings, even if they're in the White House, then you are not cut out for this leadership position, Mayor Muriel Bowser. Like, if you're not willing to speak truth to power, I understand, she's in a delicate political position. I understand that, but we are in precarious, very extremist kind of times, right? That's why it is imperative that people make it clear what side of the fence you're on. I told you guys, I didn't cuss him out. I was about to say, I called and cussed out my senators. I didn't cuss him out. But I did call with pointed words for both Maryland senators, two Democrats, Chris Van Hollen and Angela Alsobrooks, especially Angela Alsobrooks, because they had somebody answer the phone. And I talked to this young lady and I said, listen, Angela Alsobrooks represents the state of Maryland as our first black senator ever, but she comes from Prince George's County. I'm talking about the resolution to honor Charlie Kirk or whatever the fuck against political. Who the fuck cares? But Angela Alsobrooks did not vote no. Chris Van Hollen did not vote no. The woman who answered the phone at Angela Alsobrooks' office explained to me that Angela Alsobrooks voted present. I said, well, why didn't the fuck she vote no? she just could have voted no. Like this refusal to take a stand and call the shit what the fuck it is. Brandon Johnson is calling this outright corruption. It is very clearly so. And I appreciate him saying something as opposed to trying to protect his own ass or whatever it is that the rest of these black mayors appear to be doing. Before we get out of here on my palate cleansers, Will, do we have any acknowledgments? Because I thought I saw some boxes roll up and my phone just died. So wah. Bing, boom, boom, boom.
Yes, we have a special shout out from Cash App / Super Chat from Gang Green Thumb. As Johnny K said to Pony Boy Curtis, stay gold, Pony Boy. I need to see your bright smile, KB. I'm sorry to put this on you.
Oh, put what on? I smile for funny stuff, Gang Green Thumb. I appreciate your support. Stay golden, Pony Boy. Thank you so much. Thank you, Gang Green Thumb. We appreciate it. That's it? All righty. So, y'all, I got 2 palate cleansers for y'all. And I got to tell you, neither of them are funny. Neither of them are warm and cuddly. I'm presenting these palate cleansers to you because these 2 young women, young girls, survived. Okay. And as you know, women are under threat out here, constant threat of physical violence, of sexual violence, of reproductive violence, all kinds of violence facing women, right? And black women in particular. All women. I'm a black woman. I'm gonna highlight black women's stories. This first story comes locally out of Washington, D.C. And I need you to pay attention because when we talk about women are not safe from their partners, abusive partners, they are not safe from their abusive family members, and women are not safe from strangers. I don't see men getting attacked by women unknown to them on the street just cause imagine, fellas, I want you to imagine a woman walking close behind you on a dark street and all of a sudden she just jump on your back and put you in a headlock. Like what the fuck? But when it's a man, strange man attacking a woman in this way, it can easily mean life and death, right? With his bare hands. So this happened in DC on the campus of the University of the District of Columbia, known as UDC. In a nice part of town, by the way. I think this is up Connecticut Avenue. So anyway, let's take a look.
Smith, in an interview with Fox 5, also showing us, guys, the bruising in her eyes, on her forehead, her mouth. She said she was attacked at around 6 in the morning. Nakaya Smith, in an interview with Fox 5, also showing us, guys, the bruising in her eyes, on her forehead, her mouth. She says she was attacked at around 6 in the morning yesterday. Police responding to the portion of the UDC campus by Connecticut Avenue and Wyndham Place Northwest. Now, Smith told police that she was walking alone on a campus pathway on her way to a workout with the women's basketball team when she noticed a man walking past the UDC tennis courts. Smith tells us she thought she was that person was headed toward the bus, but then felt a presence behind her, saying as she turned around, she was immediately attacked, strangled, and pushed to the ground. Her head then slammed into the ground multiple times. Guys, eventually her coach and teammates heard screaming. They called police and rushed to her aid.
I just want to say, just in this world right now, be aware of your surroundings. make sure you know how to defend yourself, protect yourself. Because if it wasn't for me trying to swivel out of his chokehold, I would not be here. I feel like I was passing out and stuff. So just make sure you take classes and like take self-defense and make sure you don't end up in a situation that I ended up in.
Oh my gosh. I'm so glad that this young lady survived, but I'm a little heartbroken at her words there. Make sure that you don't end up in the situation that I end up in. Baby girl, you were minding your business. You're going for your early morning workout with your teammates and your coaches. Like, there's nothing that this young lady did wrong. I don't know how much attention she was, but she must have been paying some fucking attention. She noticed the motherfucker before he came up on her. But here's the thing. I don't like it when these kinds of stories turn into what women could have done better to protect ourselves, right? Obviously, self-defense is required, especially if you were female presenting, and especially even for our LGBTQ folks. Like, motherfuckers will try to run up on you and do you up physically just for simply existing, right? And I'm glad that she knew ways for her to get out of chokeholds and all that stuff. You know me, I support carrying weaponry. I'm not clear exactly what happened to the assailant, whether or not they were arrested or no. I want women to start causing great bodily harm to our attackers. Okay. Like, I want us to start injuring these motherfuckers who would come up to a woman, young girl, and strangle her. I wish she would have put a knife through his carotid. Okay. Like, they're going to have to learn the hard way, because if they didn't catch this man, he's going to attack somebody else. And the only way, to deal with a rabid dog is to put him down. All right. Like, I don't think these dudes should be given second and third chances to attack more women and girls. So if you find yourself being attacked, of course, do what you can to survive. Try to get away. But maybe consider doing society a solid and take him out. Send him down to hell where he belongs. Send him with the rest of the demons. Like, playtime is over, girls. Okay, it's done. It's done. They will strangle us on the street. Okay, so the least we can do is return the favor. And lastly, because females are unfortunately on the menu for predators, regardless of our age, from infants, horrible, to elderly women. I've seen all the stories, all of them. Girl children, well, and boy children for sure. But again, I don't hear about the elderly man getting sexually assaulted in the nursing home by the random female visitor to the nursing home, right? I have heard the opposite lots of times. Okay, we have a problem with the bad mandem. Okay, they're not, y'all are not talking to them and you're not socializing them, but I digress. So this story coming out of Philadelphia absolutely broke my heart and gave me hope and encouragement at the same time. An 8-year-old little black girl, was attempted to be lured by a neighbor or a man in her neighborhood. The story is going to come up, but this little girl, number one, she's so Philly. Number one, she's 1,000% Philadelphian. Okay. And it's awesome. But this little girl had courage. This little girl was brave. This little girl had her wits about her. And I know we want to raise our children and keep them as innocent as we can for as long as we can. But baby, that may not be the key to their survival. You may have to give them the harsh realities of what this world is about in order to save their lives, so they're not easily fooled by adults who mean them harm. Okay. So anyway, let's take a look at the story.
Pulling you into the house?
Yes, like this.
Started from the beginning.
Was he pulling you into the house?
Yes, like this.
And what were you? Was he pulling you into the house?
Yes, like this.
And what were you saying?
I was like, help, help. But nobody didn't hear me.
And once you were inside, besides this, you were okay though, right?
Yes, he locked the door and I unlocked, and he told me to go upstairs and I didn't want to.
And you didn't?
Yeah, no.
Paige Merricks is brave and wanted to share her story this afternoon. It had been less than 24 hours after investigators say a man lured the 8-year-old into his house when we caught up with the 3rd grader walking home with Mom. When you went inside the house, was he saying anything to you when you went inside that first time?
He was grabbing me and stuff. That's why I got the scratch and that's why I got this. You scratched me and you made me hit something.
According to police, the girl's neighbor, who lives a few doors down, lured Paige into a home near 20th and Nedrow in North Philadelphia. Her mother, Nigel Bullock, tells NBC 10 the man asked her daughter to come inside the house and wake up his young son. Once there, she says he locked the doors. Do you think he was really trying to do something bad with your daughter?
Yes, I do. I wholeheartedly do.
Your mom told me you were really, really brave and got out of the house. Yes. Talk to me. How did you get out of the house?
I unlocked the door. I unlocked it without trying to grab it. It was locked. I unlocked it and then I just got out and then he just shut the door.
She got out, but Bullock claims the man still tried luring the little girl back inside the home a second time shortly after. That's when Bullock says she went to his house to confront him, pepper spraying him and calling 911. Investigators say the man would then fire shots and barricade himself inside. NBC 10 was there when officers caught him. I am so glad that you're okay.
Me too. Everybody was at school saying, I'm happy you're okay, and I was like, thank you.
Little girls who are taken off the street, they usually don't make it back home. Okay. And I'm guessing that this man, I'm curious why he wasn't named in the piece. So 2 things. Shout out to that girl's mother. You raised an incredibly smart, savvy, quick thinking young lady, young child, because I don't like we're not adultifying black girls, because she's not a young lady, she's a little girl, she's 8. 8. Articulate as hell, clever as hell, sharp as hell. Okay, shout out to her mama and her village and her community that taught her and trained her. You know what I mean? But we have a problem, or maybe we don't have a problem. Meaning that, brother, speaking of Kamal brought this up earlier today on the Remix Morning Show. For example, he used they're talking about we don't have a set of standards in our community in which we punish those that have caused harm in our community ourselves, instead of relying on the criminal justice system. He said the man who murdered Malcolm X was in jail a long time, lived to be released, and then lived to die on the outside. How come nobody dealt with him in the community? How come this man was allowed to just live? You know what I'm saying? Dog, you killed Malcolm X. What? So this individual, this gentleman accused of trying to lure this little girl, of luring the little girl, got the little girl in the house, 20th and Nedrow, North Philly. You know where he at. If he's out. If he's in, what they call what's the Philly lockup called? Infinite content. Not that you've been, but you might know. I get them all confused. Robert L. Moss, I think that's Tulsa. I don't know wherever the Philadelphia City Correctional, wherever they holding people out, waiting trial or waiting a bail hearing. If you on the inside where this man is locked up at, you know what to do with him. Take the trash out. We don't give a fuck if he make it to trial. Take the trash out. What intentions do you think an adult man had for an 8-year-old little girl? But bad and worse. We can't give these motherfuckers numerous attempts to harm our community, especially the most vulnerable in our community, our children. I'm debating on whether or not to share this with y'all or not, but I think because everyone is passed away, it may be fine. Everyone's passed away in the story, so fuck it. I had a family member confess a murder to me, okay? This family member is gone, passed away, been gone, okay? Told me that they entered their house and saw their mother being attacked by a person in the neighborhood who apparently was a known fucking pervert. And this family member said that they were able to get this attacker off of the mother and out of the house. But they went looking for this person and caught up with this person and eliminated this person. And when this family member made this confession, it wasn't like, I can't describe it because regardless. When they made this confession, another family member was like, well, you need to be careful about what you say and who you say it around. Da, da, da. I'm thinking to myself, ain't nobody about to tell. Ain't nobody about to tell. And nobody told. Of course, nobody fucking told. You know why? Because we ain't proving this message. I could never be mad at anybody who knew there was a predator in the community, witnessed this predator committing an attack, and then what? What you thought? You was going to go to the police and make a report? Get Barnaby Jones and them niggas right on that shit? To get Barney Fife right on that fucking shit? Because we know how well and how attentive police are to reports of sexual violence, especially against Black women. They don't give a fuck. So we need men exactly to do similar actions. We can't wait on the police. We can't wait on all this shit. If you know it, and the hood know it, everybody fucking know it, do what needs to be done. If they're in jail, do what needs to be done. Enough. The time for radical defense of our people is right fucking now. And if it's radical self-defense, girls, have at it. We're going to do what we can to help you, because guess what? We'd all rather be judged by 12 than carried by 6. Let's not fuck around. All right, I'm done. Y'all be easy out here, okay? Y'all be safe. Protect your neck, head on a swivel, carry something on you. Thank you so much to our wonderful mods. I'm sorry if you're sending support. If you want to send support, you can do so. Shout out to Gangrene Thumb. Shout out to Afraid Not. Appreciate y'all. $ BIDWKB. Venmo at BIDWKB. Oh, wait. Someone did run support. God damn it. And I done forgot. Shit. I will shout you out on Friday. The person who sent us some cash, pardon me, PayPal support. I meant to write it down. My deepest apologies. I smoke a lot of reefers. I'm sorry. But thanks to everyone that supports at Venmo, BIDWKB, paypal.me/BIDWKB. And of course, shout out to the wonderful patrons and our YouTube members, patreon.com/BIDWKB. Thank you so much to Will and Molly. We will see y'all back here Friday. Don't forget Thursday, Remix Morning Show and Classical Breakdown with the Ear Doctor. But don't forget also Remix Morning Show, Women's Wednesdays. Jackie and Ricky have got guests coming on, so you want to be sure to set your bells and notifications for 8 a.m. Eastern Time tomorrow. Okay? On behalf of Will and Molly, thank you all so much for all that you do. We love y'all. Like the video on your way out. Subscribe to the channel. Love y'all. See y'all later. Bye-bye. Protect your neck.